Welcome to day 30 of our school year. Let's fill this in. All right. So our beginning fraction, 180. Is our total amount of school days. We're on day 30. Let's see, 30. Well, 30 is an even number. The only even number that's prime is 2, so it is composite. If you're not sure, you can always check your prime number sieve. And 30 is not circled. So we have to do the prime factorization for both the denominator and the numerator. Okay, so let's see. This ends in a 0, so I know that 5 is a factor. I can get 3 groups of 5 out of 18. 3 times 5 is 15, but that leaves 30. So 6 times 5 is 30. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 is a multiple of 3, so 3 is a factor. I can get 1 group of 10 out of 30, and I could get 2 groups of 3. Sorry, 10 groups of 3 out of 30 and 2 groups of 3 out of 6. Okay, that's even. I could divide by 2. I get 6. Even, I could divide by 2. I get 3. When I get to a prime number, I am done. Okay, 30 ends in a 0, so I could divide by 5. I get 6. That's even. I could divide by 2. I get 3. So let's go ahead and list our prime factorization for our denominator from least to greatest. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. And our numerator is 2 times 3 times 5. So let's look for things that are common in our numerator and denominator. Well, there's a 2, and there's a 3 and a 5. So that looks like 30 is our greatest common factor. We're left with nothing in the top, so that would be a 1 in the numerator, and then 2 times 3 is 6. Our fraction is going to be 1/6, but let's go ahead and prove that. Let's make our groups of 30. Remember, it doesn't matter what your groups look like, as long as you have 30 in each and you don't have shaded with unshaded. But being that each row is 10, it makes it a lot easier to make these groups of 30. Okay, so let's count up our total amount of groups of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 groups of 30, and one of the groups of 30 is shaded in. Okay. So we want to also prove it with our algorithm because we did our division with our model. We also looked at our simplifying with our prime factorization. But let's go ahead and use our algorithm also. These always need to be the same number because we didn't make different groups. And they also have to always work for both. Otherwise we can't do it. Okay, so we have 30 here for our area model. Let's see, 30 times 5, the placeholder moves it over a place. 5 times 3 is 15. Numbers the same, 0 is a game. No more on top, no need to stop. Bring that up here, and now that's just 1 times 30. Numbers the same, 0 is a game. 5 plus 1 is 6. So you may have already known that 6 times 3 gives you 180, but in case you don't, most of you are really good at your 5s. Use those. And then you just have one more group to take out. And then here, 1 times 30 is 30. Number's the same. 0's a game. We still want to check divisor times quotient plus remainder, divisor times quotient plus remainder. But since our remainder is 0 and the identity property of addition says when you add 0 it stays the same, we don't need to add that 0. 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3. Right here we have the identity property of multiplication. So 30 matches that dividend, 180 matches this dividend, so they both check. So my numerator is definitely 1. My denominator is definitely 6. Okay, now let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. Trimester 1, week 7. Today is 9, 19, 19. Our fraction for today is 1/6. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out our number line. We did groups of 30 today. Groups of 30, let's go over. Here's our first line, 1, 6. So we've completed one section out of the total 6 pieces that are here. We do have a lot of equivalent fractions, so we have one in our 15, 10, 6, 5, 3, 2. All those numbers are common factors, but 30 was our greatest common factor. So that 30 180ths has a lot of equivalent fractions below it. 1/6 is our simplest form, or our equivalent fraction in lowest terms. Okay, go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.